I think what's so cool about this song really is the depth of what it says is so kind of deep. It's dressed up in this little punky, weird, quirky music. And it's the first song I wrote, and I was like, that's the first single. And I think that everybody felt like, you're a little bit out of your mind, because that's not really what we were thinking your solo record was going to sound like. They were hoping I was going to be like a little more, I don't know, consumable. For me, it was like plain and clear. Like, I don't care if it doesn't even get on the radio. This is the song that starts this journey because this is the truth. This was like a really special time in my life. After being in No Doubt all those years and having the opportunity to sort of like play and not have to think about any limits. I felt like in my mind I was doing a dance record that wouldn't really count. It was just gonna be my guilty pleasure, something I could do. No one would judge me. Like it was just for fun. And I think that freedom was like super exciting for me at that point in my life. And when I went in to write this song, it was the first song I wrote outside of the band. And I was working with Linda Perry, and she was at that time on top of the world. She had just done Christina's song, Beautiful. She was like the big it writer to write with. I didn't even know about writers. I was just in my band. I didn't even know there was these like fancy writers you could go write with. And I remember I got in the room with her. I was being really insecure. I was like, I want to do this, but like, I don't know how to do this. Like what? And she just looked at me. She goes, what are you waiting for? I hopped on the mic, and it was like a cadenista que la movie. It was just, boop. What an amazing time. What a family. How did the years go by? Now it's only me. I wanted to do something that felt very theatrical, you know, with zero limits. So, you know, the idea of setting the tone of what was happening, which was there was a guilt behind the fact that I was going and leaving my band behind, something I never thought I would do. And in that moment, I just wanted to recognize that that was an amazing thing. But like, here we go to the next chapter. Tick tock, la, 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 la. Everything about like time has always been on my mind a lot, and I write about that. This was like 20 years ago, and I'm writing about like worried about my time's gonna run out. I just kind of was inspired by the idea of this rabbit hole. I was gonna dive in, and just like Alice in Wonderland, anything was gonna happen. I feel like growing up in Orange County, Disneyland, like that was the backdrop of my childhood. Those like fantasy worlds were really ingrained in me. Like a cat in heat stuck in a moving car. I was trying to express like what it felt like to be emotionally held back by my guilt of leaving the band to do something else. I couldn't stop myself. Like I needed to do it. I think that was a perfect way to describe the way I felt, which is like if a cat's in heat, like you can't really stop them from going outside. Like they'll just growl and go and like, you know, they hate being in the car and they hate being like stuck. I think I felt like I just was bursting with this music in me, and I knew I needed to go get it. And that was a perfect way to describe it. A scary conversation. Shut my eyes. Can't find the break. What if they say that you're a climber? I was definitely having an inner dialogue. It was like, no, you need to do this. But wait, what if they say that you're trying to like climb and like everyone's gonna judge you like you're trying to be like a solo star, like you're in a band. Like it was definitely an inner voice. It was definitely a dialogue that I was having just out loud for everyone to hear. Naturally, I'm worried if I do it alone. But who really cares? It's your life. You never know, it could be great. Take a chance, you might grow. There was just something in me that knew that there was more if I could just be free. I just needed to grow up a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I had done what I had done for a long time before anyone ever saw it. It was just time. Tick tock, tick tock. Take a chance, you stupid hoe. Listen, guys, like what inspired Take a Chance, You Stupid Hoe? Well, I think at that time in the early 2000s, that was like a really common way that we would kind of love each other, like especially like girl to girl. If you saw your girls, like it was common language to be like, hey, what's up, hoe? Like it was like dissing at the same time, but loving at the same time. I'm saying it in a loving way. And I think I kind of was saying that to myself. Don't be a dummy. Like get yourself together, take a chance, you stupid hoe, like in a loving hug kind of way, like you can do this. Like an echo pedal, you're repeating yourself. You know it all by heart. Why are you standing in one place? Born to blossom, bloom to perish. I don't know where the born to blossom, bloom to perish came from. Such a beautiful metaphor to life and how I felt as a woman. At that point, I don't remember how old I was, but I was in my 30s and I felt old and I felt like I had already blossomed. How could anyone care about me anymore? Like, this is what happens to us as we grow older. We don't know it until we're there, what it's going to feel like. Where did that come from? Because I couldn't think of something that beautiful, right? Like, so I always just say that was, again, a miracle. So, and you know, that lyric has been tattooed on so many people. That's the one tattoo that I approve of. I was like, yeah, wherever you want it, tattoo it. It's so beautiful. Your moment will run out because of your sex chromosome. I know it's so messed up how our society all thinks. Life is short. You're capable. It was like I was in my 30s and you start to really start feeling it. Like, you're like, wow, what is 30? That's crazy. Like, you just feel like it's going to be over, even though now I'm forwarded into the future again. And that looked like I was so young. And everybody will say the same thing because that's just life. We're going through life. It's a test at the whole time. I just wanted to explain, like, to myself, just because you're a female and you have this outer version of you that's temporary and always going to be changing, like, you're still alive. Like, you still need to exist. You still need to produce things. You still need to have a place. And sometimes I think that in society, you can feel like they just want to put you out into the pasture, like, you're done. So I think that inner voice was like me trying to convince myself, like, you're still hot. Like, you can still do this. And it's really just an inner dialogue looking around me and what I felt like at that time. Look at your watch now. You're still a super hot female. You got your $1 million contract, and they're all waiting for your hot track. I'm going back and forth between, like we all do to ourselves, like, you're disgusting. And then the other side, it's like, actually, no, that's too bad. Like, if you get the right lighting, like, it's fine. Like, you know, we lie to ourselves all day long. And it's just such a unbelievable conversation that we have in our minds, looking at that conversation and putting it into the microphone. Because the way that we wrote this was like, we would just go on the mic and just like freestyle. I would go back home and sort of pick it all out with these weird melodies that we came up with together. And so I was just struggling with the confidence to be able to say, I want to do this so bad, but then that devil creature is like trying to like take me down. I rebuke the devil and I'm going to ride off into the sunset and write this music. And that's what I did. What you waiting for? What you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What you waiting for was the line that Linda Perry said to me. And she was very clear. It was very simple. She kind of slapped me and woke me up, like, stop getting in your own way and just be free and do your thing that you're gonna do. Sometimes you just get in your own way. You make up all these fake roadblocks of why you're not good enough. And if you just receive the gift and you use it, it will come through you. And that's exactly what happened. I can't wait to go back and do Japan. Get myself some brand new fans. Osaka, Tokyo. You Harajuku girls, damn, you got the wicked style. When I was a little girl, my dad actually worked for a company called Yamaha Motorcycles, which is a Japanese company. So it was a big deal every day at dinner time. He would talk about these crazy meetings he would have. And you could imagine back then we didn't have internets or nothing like phones. We just had encyclopedia or National Geographic or some. If you wanted to learn about another culture, it was very like foreign. And he would come home from these really long trips to Japan, and it would be like 2-3 weeks, and he would open the suitcase and it would be like, oh my gosh, I got a geisha doll, I got a Hello Kitty, and things that we couldn't get here that just were just so different and so beautiful. And so my fascination with the culture was something that came from a very, very young age. And he would go and tell me, like, you would freak out. There's this area called Harajuku where everybody dresses up. There's Elvises, there's this. He would tell me all the details. And this was like 15 years before I ever even got to go to Japan, which I never in my lifetime thought I'd get to go. And so when I got to go to Japan in the 90s and I landed and I went to Harajuku, the place I had heard about, I just was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I've been told about this my whole life. Like, this is insane. So for me, it was just like a weird full circle thing. And when I wrote that line, it was like me telling myself, well, if you do this, you're going to get a treat. You're going to get to go back there again. you look back on it and you think, wow, like it was kind of ahead of its time in a weird way, because I feel like now people are discovering that song for what it really is. What's getting in your way? It's actually a self anthem, and a way to like talk yourself into whatever you need to do next in your life.